Look at this beautiful, beautiful day. It is March 15th, and we don't get very many days like this in the Pacific Northwest. Typically, this time of year, it's rainy or cloudy. We even just had a couple examples of rain mixed with snow. But we have a special day. And in 2 days, we will celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Many will spend their whole day in bars and pubs. But that's not what St. Patrick's Day is all about. To me, I now believe St. Patrick's Day is a day to celebrate resilience. Allow me to explain. Recently, my wife and I took a long vacation in Ireland, which is the birthplace of her side of the family. We visited 6 cities, and in each of those cities there was a story that was repeated, and I'm sure it was in many other cities that we didn't make it to. The story was this: the British and the non-Catholic Irish took the land, the businesses, and other things away from the Irish Catholic, and they banned them to what was called the ghettos. They put them on land that was not well suited for farming or even for living. And they built walls around the city that had formerly been lived in and owned by the native Irish Catholics. And so then they put the Irish out in there and expected them to live, taking away all their means of being able to do that. In a couple of cases, they put the Irish on lands that were filled with rocks and said, you figure out how to live there. Well, the Irish did figure it out. They broke up the rock and they turned the soil into something that was usable. And they had, of course, cows and sheep, and they were able to grow crops. But it took centuries to do that. And so the Irish, so when we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, I believe it's the people that have left Ireland that celebrate. Because I've talked to people in Ireland and they said St. Patrick's Day is not such a big thing. But it is here in America and other countries where the Irish immigrated. So in terms of resilience, let me give you some statistics. Before the famine and before the British exiled or killed so many Irish Catholics, there was 8 million people on that island. After the famine, the purges, and the emigration of so many Irish to find a way to live, it went down to 2 million people. Today, Ireland is back at 7 million. Now, of that 7 million, they're not all Irish. There are many people who have come from other countries because the jobs are there in Ireland. Ireland's agriculture is astounding. Ireland's economy is doing extremely well, one of the best in Europe. And to me, I attribute it to the resilience of the Irish people. They survived, both on the island and also around the world. Many traveled, of course, here to the United States, to Canada, to New Zealand, to Australia, and other places. And they've all formed a community. And what it took for them to survive this type of oppression, this type of aggression, and more importantly, taking away their right to live, they were resilient. And as I see it right now, and this is my opinion, it's almost as if the Irish have a laugh against the British, who are struggling themselves with the Brexit. Resilience is the key to success, whether you are a leader or an individual. So what is resilience? It's the ability to take blows. It is the ability to know that no matter what life throws you, no matter what happens to you, you will survive. You will find ways of fixing your problems. And you do it with an attitude of hope, of knowing that it doesn't always have to be in the negative. You can find ways of doing it in positive. We forget that we have so much control over our lives. And it starts with our attitude. There's many stories about, people who just had the worst sort of circumstances or luck or terrible things happen to them, and yet they found a way of surviving and thriving. That's resilience. And the Irish people, I have found, again, just based on my limited amount of personal connection, my wife's story, her family story, and what I saw in the island is that it took resilience. And this culture continues to be very, very resilient. But the Irish aren't the only one. There are peoples all around the world. For instance, the people on Gaza Strip, in Palestine, in parts of Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Western and Eastern Europe. They are at a disadvantage. At times, they're being oppressed. They're being killed. Their land, everything they own is being taken away. And yet, for some reason, maybe because it is a God-given gift, they are finding ways to survive. We in the United States are so lucky because we can't imagine what it's like. But if you pay attention and hear stories about these types of individuals and what they're able to accomplish and how they're able to survive, it's just so heartwarming. I hear about these on TED Talks, and each time tears come to my eyes because it's just powerful stories of resilience. So what can happen if a person doesn't have resilience? I believe what happened in New Zealand, the gunman who killed 49 at 2 mosques, is an example of someone that has no resilience. For whatever reason, and I'm offering just my opinion, for whatever reason, this gentleman has no resilience. He believes in one thing, and anything that goes against whatever he believes, he just says, I've got to get rid of it. I've got to find a way. And using the gun and killing innocent people who are unlike him is his reaction because he has no resilience. And so people who live in their biases, people who live in their prejudices, people who get stuck in the past, people who only see the world one way, who live in a bubble or filters, they have no resilience. And they have no desire to have resilience. You're not like them. You're like me. And each day we do our best and we struggle and we have successes, we have non-successes. But I'll bet you're the type of person that gets up in the morning with the hope and the knowledge that today will be better than yesterday. And you'll find something that's going to help you overcome whatever your challenges are, whether they're physical, emotional, financial, relationship, about your business, about your personal life. So it's about resilience. So on this coming St. Patrick's Day on Sunday, I want you to think about how resilient you are. What things have you overcome by this resilience? That ability to absorb shocks, this ability to strive, the ability to get past whatever obstacle you have had and know there's something better on the other side. Now, I'm wearing a gift from my beautiful and wonderful wife, again, who is half Irish. So she bought me this grandfather shirt. This is a shirt that's worn by old men in Ireland. So I guess she's trying to tell me that I'm old. I don't know. And of course, she brought me this hat there as well. We did encounter quite a bit of rain, so this came in handy during the winds and the rain. So please strive to be resilient. When you find yourself in times of struggle, in times of trouble. Sounds like a line of a song. Where did I hear that song before? In times of trouble. Anyway, when you are feeling that, realize that you have a tremendous amount of resilience. One of the icons of my generation was Gumby. Gumby, the character. Look it up if you don't know who that is. But he was made of rubber, and no matter what happened to him, he was quite resilient. One of my wife's favorite cartoon characters is Goofy. And no matter what happens to him, he has a positive attitude. Resilience will help you. Please, I don't want you to end up like the people that just have no ability to absorb changes, and they get stuck and they act out because of those changes. And then they personally harm, affect others in negative ways. I know you can do it. So I wish you a happy St. Patrick's Day, and I hope that you have a great spring, because I know I'm looking forward to it, because who knows what the possibilities are of spring. Until next week, this is Ron Rael. Thank you.